Hi, I'm Beth Kuzbek, and I'm here today to talk to you about Alzheimer's design. And basically, when we're talking about designing for Alzheimer's design, we want to take a look at what the population is. Today, there are over 5 million people living in the United States diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and by 2050, that is going to expand to 16 million. So it's really incumbent on us to take a look at how we treat these people and design for them. One of the things that I like to do when I design is actually design for maintenance, safety, and then pretty. You can tell by these slides that are up right now that the ones on the left are 20/20 vision and the ones on the right are 20/200. And basically that's what happens to our senior eyes. So contrast and depth perception is extremely important. And what we want to do is make sure that residents and our people can actually see what we're designing. And you can see by these two slides, normalized versus what a senior sees. Now it gets even more critical in design elements that you put into your homes. Number one, you want to have planes between the walls and the floors. You can see that in almost every one of these pictures, something has disappeared, and primarily it's the handrail. That is really important for your residents to be able to see, and we make it sure that they do it in good design. Now, you might not think these are the prettiest of design, but you sure can see the difference between the walls, the floors, and the elements in front of you that are handrails. So gripping it is very easily. I'd like to take you back a little bit to mid-century design, just kind of as a fun little element to show you how far we've come. Here are some of the icons of the 50s, but more important, color was kind of not that important way back when. And if you take a look at these color palettes, you'll see in 1950 there were not very many colors. These are color palettes from Sears, which was a big provider of paints, etc. And they're very clear colors though, and that's what was really important at the time. Styling transferred into fashion and some of the other things which we'll talk about. But look at what the facilities looked like in the 50s. They weren't very nice places. They were convalescent homes. They didn't have the pretty names that we have today, and they weren't very pretty places. So I'm hoping that we're doing a much better job, because it started in the 1960s where we had this explosion of color. That's when the Peacock was invented for NBC, and all the way to Target stores and everything in between, there was this huge explosion of color, and it transferred to fashion. Fashion started out as madmen with suits and hats and very formal wear, and transitioned, believe it or not, in one decade to the hippie generation. And even the ladies got involved with pillbox hat and very demure outfits, all the way through color explosion and Carnaby wear. And then in the 1970s, we got into the word senior living. Convalescent home kind of went away, and in came senior living. And that's when the architecture really started to change. The architecture of the 70s became very low profile. You probably recognize some of these facilities, but they all had very important entryways because they were trying to depict a home, a welcoming place. And that really did work for a while, but the interiors didn't catch up. 70s, 80s, and 90s, that happened when a home-like interior became our quest. And that's what we did. But you can tell even in the lower right corner, that picture still didn't quite catch on. Sparse facilities. But furniture being a critical component, I really wanted you to walk away with knowing what a good piece of furniture was for a senior. The height, the width, the depth, having arms, having a heel space for people to push off of are all critical components. What about the case pieces? Laminate tops, fixed bailed hardware for hands to grab, a vented back, and especially eased and rounded corners, and importantly, drawers that have a positive stop on them. In my design work, I also like to use a lot of cueing devices and fabrics that are really generally sought after. Nanotex with Durablock and Krypton are two of the things that you can use in your facilities that block moisture from penetrating to the seat cushions. And I'm asked every single day, what are the appropriate colors for healthcare? I can tell you seriously, there are no wrong colors for seniors, but there are colors that should be taken a look at as not appropriate, and those would be the muddy colors on the left-hand side of those arrows. Therapeutic Art is another way to cue residents, especially for Alzheimer's. Memory boxes are interactive. You can take residents up and have a conversation with them, just like life stations, and you can use them for activities. And it's a great way to have memories. I know I talked really, really fast, probably faster than you can write, so if you'd like a copy of this presentation, please stop by our booth at 3214. I'll be glad to give me a business card and I'll send it to you. So thank you.